What's going on, guys? This is Gene Jensen, and it is time for another Friday Night Live. All right, let's get things going real quick. So what a crazy week, man. We'll let people jump in here. Got a few people from Facebook, a few people from YouTube. So it's pretty neat to see now that I can do both at the same time. It's pretty cool. So you guys can catch us on my Facebook page, and you can also catch it here on YouTube. Sorry, I had to take a drink of water. And if you want to catch this thing on the road or anything else, I have a podcast. It's in most of the major podcast deals. Just look up Fluke Master Fishing. So let's jump into the comments, take a look at them a little bit. Everybody say hello as you jump in. Tell me where you're from. And let's talk fishing. I'm tired of reading Facebook and all the stupid idiot comments on Facebook about the coronavirus. Yeah, let's all keep our heads about us and not be so insane. But anyway, so AM Fishing, thanks for the $2, man. Right off the rip. That's awesome. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Ron Wabner's from Duluth, Georgia. That's good. That means he can still go fishing if he's got a place close. So Matt Kelly, go Dogs. B Bottom says I got to get me a Baja. If you're talking about the Baja bug, I got one out in my yard, but it belongs to my son. But I don't know if that's what you're talking about or not. Don't need a Bama hat. No, that's what you're talking about. Nah. I need something to wipe my hands on when I get a little bit of fish slime, but that'd be about all I'd use a Bama hat for. D Ryder, they can't fish because he lives in Washington State. That sucks. I mean, social distancing has been pretty tough on my kids, but I take them fishing every day. We did some yard work today, though. They didn't like that too much, but it is what it is. So, let's see. Columbus, Ohio is Ryan Dieter. Dustin Hambert from Southern Maryland, I think. Jay Ellis from DC. What's up, everybody? Lead Hill, Arkansas for Pole Bender. That's awesome. Got some Indiana folks. Okay, let me talk a little bit of business. I got some cool things happening next month. So if this boredom and stuff continues through next month, which I hope it doesn't, or I didn't hope it to continue too much in the next month. But next month, the entire month is being sponsored by Georgia 811, which is a nonprofit here. It's all about calling 811 before you dig to set up to make sure that, to get people to come to your house to check and make sure you're not going to cut through any utility lines and things like that. It's kind of a cool little deal. I'll get more into it next month. Just wanted to make that little bit of an announcement. We're going to have giveaways. We're going to have all kinds of stuff going on. Discounts on my website, flukemaster.com. It's just going to be a lot of fun. So yeah, check that out. Just stay tuned for that next month. Let's see. Michael Moon, man, thanks for the $5. He says, about to use your rod pod video to make my own rod pods. Got the PVC pipe today, and the conduit carrier kits are here tomorrow. That's awesome, man. Yeah, you'll have fun with that. Let's see. Man, a bunch of people jumping in tonight. That's awesome, guys. Black Bass Anglers on there. RJ Castings, what's going on, man? A lot of regulars. If you're new here, go ahead and let me know. It'd be good to introduce you. Sean Lay, thanks for the $10, man. You're awesome. Hey, Gene, I hope you and the family are doing well during these crazy times. Do you know why 13 fishing reels are going on sale? Are they replacing the whole line? They're doing a lot of replacing this year. I've seen some. What happens is, as every other year or so, technology gets better and better components get cheaper, and they like to put new components and new things and do new things to their reels to keep them up to date. And even the rods, they keep them up to date. So they'll replace that brand or that model every couple of years. They've done it to just about every rod model. They've added a few things like that. So yeah, when you see 13 fishing rods and reels go on sale, snatch them up because they're good rods and reels. But know there's going to be some more that are coming out a little bit later. So most of the time. Sometimes they just get rid of the model altogether because it's competing with another one of their models. So anyway, so what else is going on? You guys, I said something about my website, but go get something off my website. Give me a little bit of support. I hate to beg for it, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. But flukemaster.com is the website. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. Let's see. You guys can ask any questions you want to. Janky rig. Now the janky rig video. That's funny. It's the video of the rig that I forgot the name of. I guess they're calling it the chicken rig. Iconelli made a video, I guess just a couple, 2-3 months ago. I'll find this out all after I launch this video. But Iconelli made a video and they're calling it the chicken rig, I guess, or whatever. You can call it janky rig if you want. I like that name because, well, Jordan named it. So, but James Barnett, thanks for watching. Thanks for continuing to support my channel. That's awesome, man. I've got an outline for a really good shaky head video I'm going to do here probably tomorrow if I can get away. I'm trying to get my garden in and everything else. You never know what these times are going to do. You know, the economy's taking a hit, that kind of stuff. I always have a garden, but this year I'm making it a lot bigger so I can so my neighbors can take advantage of my garden because I've already got the soil ready, or the soil good enough to plant and stuff like that. I've already got the area blocked off and gate and fenced off so the deer can't get to it. So I might as well make it as big as I can make it and help my my neighbors out if this stuff goes to crap. You never know. It's better to have too much than not enough. So so I've been doing garden stuff today. My hands are a little bit dirty. Been mowing and getting compost and stuff ready. Let's see. But anyway, that's the announcements I have. That's what's going on in my life. Continue to keep my wife in your prayers. She's on the front lines of this whole mess. She works taking vital signs at the clinic just north of here. So, and they'll probably move her around to the hospital as needs be and that kind of stuff. So, and I'm stuck at home with the kids, which I don't mind at all. So let's see. I'm going to jump into some questions real quick. Let's see. Gene, the best way to fish a jerkbait in about 45-degree water. Usually when it's below 50, I'm going to go real slow and I'm not going to jerk it hard. I'm just going to go tap, tap, and then just let it sit. And I count seconds between sits because if I get a bite, I want to remember how many seconds it took for that fish to come up and hit that thing because it's going to be pretty close to the same thing for a little while for every bite you get. But tap, 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 tap. You're not going to jerk it like you see Kevin Van Dam do on videos in the summertime, you know, and when the water's warmer and stuff like that, just little bitty jerks. If you can find cover, well, no, I can't say that because I don't know what Bassmasters Classic it was. I think it was one in Arkansas. But anyway, there's been a couple of Bassmasters Classics filmed in really, really cold, or fished in really, really cold water, and they were all throwing a jerk bait. And it literally was, you'd see them just barely touch it to jerk that bait and let it sit there. And a suspending jerk bait is what you're looking for. So go watch my suspending jerk bait video. I filmed it a long time ago, but that should work just fine. Do you prefer a glass rod for crankbaits, or does it really even matter as long as it is a moderate action? It used to matter about 10, 15 years ago. You needed to have a glass rod because carbon fiber was not anywhere close to what it is now. And so the thing we fight in the fishing world all the time is history. We fight, we've always done the same thing. The same thing's always worked and that kind of stuff. We fight what people are saying. Oh, you got to have a glass rod. Well, that was true 15 years ago. Not so true now because technology of graphite and things like that has gotten so good that you can get a really good cranking rod that has a lot more backbone than what a fiberglass rod does, but still has the same attributes, and it works just fine. So I stay away from glass rods. I just don't believe in them. I still catch fish on regular deep diving crankbait rods that are made out of graphite. So BrazeX or InvizX, that's depending on your budget. I am a full fan of a BrazeX, but I've been fishing InvizX since '96. And so it's one of those things where they're both good. A BrazeX is really good if you're fishing a lot of heavy cover and around rocks and you like to get yourself in the grass and that kind of stuff. It's just a little bit more abrasion resistant, but still has that nice, soft, low memory style of line. So Definitely either one, man. But it just all depends on your budget, because one's the Abrazex is one step up from the Invisex and a little bit more expensive. Let's see. Hey, Vernon from Northport, Florida. What's going on, man? All right, Wayne RC. What is around 53 degrees? Oh, water is around what 53 degrees. What would you throw dirty water lake? 53 is about the temperature where the bass start to wake up and hit things that are moving a little bit more. My first thought was a flat-sided square bill, red, especially if it's a dirty water lake. If it's a pond and something like that, you want to use bright colors, white, red. Jerk a fluke around. You'd be surprised if they'll move up. If they're shallow, a fluke will work great. But my first thought was a square bill or a lipless crankbait, because that's typically when I'm really ripping a red lipless crankbait like crazy. So you'd be amazed what works. What should I use when the water temp is 35-ish, just out of ice? Jerkbait and jig. If you got hard bottom rock and stuff like that, throw a jig, throw a jerkbait around drops and things like that, around bluff walls and steep drops that are off points and things like that. Throw it up on points, but fish it really, really slow. So Billy Noel says, and I clicked on it, didn't pop up. Still running my 2 Inceptions. They're going to be hard to beat. That's true, dude. They're, like I said when they first came out, they're kind of the clunky feeling reel, but it's one of those that you can just beat the crap out of, and they'll last you a very, very, very long time. That's just how I feel. I've always felt about them, and yeah, they do, man. If you take care of them, man, they'll treat you good. Oh, thanks, Sean. I appreciate it. He's talking about my merch. He says Fluke's products are legit. Go buy some. The sweater hoodie is amazing. Yes, it is. I love that hoodie. It's got the little cross material around your neck. It's got a really good pocket. It's got the little thumb holes in your sleeve to keep your hands warm. It's a good hoodie. It really is. No, I don't have Corona. This pollen though has gotten to me big time. It's dried the back of my throat out. What are our top 3 lures for catching numbers? I hate how slow, how wacky rigs are, and I need something faster. Amen to that. Everybody knows I hate to fish a wacky rig Cinco. Absolutely hate it. Catching numbers, a Ned rig is always a good one for catching numbers. Try the video I just launched about the rig I forgot, the chicken rig. That's a great one for numbers. You know, small, something that moves a little bit faster. You'll catch the snot out of fish and just keep moving. You'll catch the most aggressive ones, and if you're looking for numbers, just keep on moving down the bank and you'll find them. So I like janky rig better. That's funny. See, best type of braid for a bait caster. Honestly, you know, and I use I use Smackdown, Seaguar Smackdown for my bait casters, and it works great. It really does. But if you get really slick line, it's horrible for a bait caster. Anything that says smooth, slick, or anything else, it's going to dig into itself easier, and it's not going to be great for a bait caster. Just in my experience, out of testing different lines, but the Smackdown's about as smooth as you can get, and still not have it dig in too bad. It'll dig in on like when you're trying to get something unhung and that kind of stuff. All braid will do that, but other than that, it does really, really good. I have tested some. They don't make it anymore, so I can say who makes it. Some Cast King braid years ago, man. It dug in on hook sets. It dug in when I was popping it. It was always digging in on itself. But they never got serious about that once we did a whole bunch of tests on it and stuff like that. They sent it to me to test out years ago. So Anna says, dude, I like your videos because it's inspired me to be a better son. And can you say Sebastian Castro or just try to put me in the video, please? That's awesome, man. Yeah, dude. Thanks. I appreciate your comment. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, it's my kids are great most of the time. You know, kids are kids. You just got to, as parents, we want them to be perfect all the time. And sometimes I just have to sit back and say, you know what? They're not going to be perfect, but I want them to be as good as they think they can be, you know? And so I always support them and their hobbies. So best lure to use during pre-spawn. there's 3 that I use, and I just made a video about 5, but 3 that are ones that pop into my head every single time: a square bill crankbait flat side, a lipless crankbait, and a chatterbait. Can't beat them pre-spawn. So let's see. Has your church been doing online Sunday services? Actually, our church a year and a half ago started a little thing where we have a booklet that we can teach our children, and we can have at-home services. And we've been doing it like on Monday nights and Tuesday and Wednesday nights and Friday nights, or whenever we can during the week. But it led into this perfect, where they just said, you know what, let's not go. Let's not come to church. Let's not spread this thing. Everybody go home and do this at-home services with your family. And so we have Bible study every Sunday, and it's great. And that way it relieves a little bit of pressure on the leaders of the church, and makes it to where they don't have to try to get all this crap together, because we don't do online anything really, but they don't have to do all this crap and get all the technology and things happen. We just do it at home. It's pretty cool. So I enjoy it. Hi, I'm Jake, and I like to fish for bass. What should I use when water temps are in the 50s? I like moving baits. The best thing this time of the year, when they're in the 50s in the spring. Now in the fall, it's a little different, but in the spring, I like moving baits like crankbaits, chatterbaits, spinner baits, flukes, all kinds of stuff. If they're shallow, I'll use something that runs shallow. If they're running a little bit deeper, I'll use something that I can fish a little bit deeper. So Clint, thanks for the comment. Appreciate it. Michael over at Facebook says recommendations on pond fishing right now. I don't know where you live. I don't know what your water temperatures are. But if I was pond fishing right outside right down the street from my house, I'd be bed fishing. I'd be looking for spawners along the bank. And I'd also be throwing something that's really, really erratic, to try to get a bite from maybe a male that's guarding a bed or something like that. Something like a fluke is usually what I'd be throwing right now, especially if they're pre-spawned to spawning. So let's see. Josh Rosa says, been following since the fisherman's. Oh my goodness. He's been following since I was the fishing partner. Oh my gosh. That was the very first of my YouTube channel, the very first. And I used to be the name. And then all my buddies over on Bass Resource said I was an idiot for naming it anything other than Fluke Master. And they were right. So I went ahead and changed it. So let's see. I know I'm way behind on comments, guys. I appreciate it, but I appreciate your patience. Scott H says, I just ordered the Inception last Friday. Already the Inception SZ is a good reel. Yes, it is, man. It is. Hey, Gene, I have a crack hole in the stern hole part of my flint. Would you recommend plastic welding it? You can. It depends on where it's at, but you should be able to weld it. I'd watch a few videos about it. I know a couple of my buddies have made videos about welding the hulls of the kayaks. Another thing you can do is Gator Guard makes a patch that can go over it, and you can smooth it around, and it does not come off. It's solid as a rock. I think they're not expensive either. I think they're like $19, maybe $20 for a small patch. But I mean, they're solid. So I keep a couple of those in my truck just in case. You never know when you're going to get like a steel rod that runs up, that you catch under the water, and it punches a hole in the bottom of your kayak, and you have to patch it up. So, oh, somebody said Wilson Lake. That's my favorite lake in Alabama. Wilson Lake in Alabama, there are 2 boats every 100 yards. Is there different techniques or location besides the bank I should try? Ends of long points, real shallow stuff. I know Wilson has some shallow stuff way offshore. If it's like less than 8 feet of water, they'll come up and spawn on that stuff. So offshore is pretty good. But yeah, dude, everybody's going to the lake right now if they can. It's a great way to do this social distancing stuff, and everybody's off work, so you might as well go. So I'm sorry for those states that can't do that. That really stinks. Hey, Fluke, my water temperature in my lake is 53 degrees, and the bass are spawning. 53 is a lot, really cold for spawning bass. What do I use and look for when this happens? I'm hoping it's 63 because if it's 53, they're just moving up. They're not really spawning yet. But you say they're spawning, typically you can throw anything at them you want. The goal is to piss them off and get them to where they'll keep coming back and keep, what I call do donuts. You hit them and they'll zip around, and you'll hit them and they'll zip around. You just keep doing that until they bite, and then set the hook. Small baits with hooks that go all about 3/4 of the way up. So when they grab it, they'll get it in their mouth. I'll start off with a big bait, like a big lizard, drag it through the bed really slowly a bunch of times, get them good and ticked off, and then I'll switch over to something else once they grab the lizard. Let's see. Good grief. Woo, I ate a little bit of popcorn today, and it's not agreeing with me a bit. If it gets bad enough, will you eat a bass? I like bass. I don't like them more than crappie, and I can go out and catch crappie just about any time. So it all depends, man. If I want something to eat that's out of the lake, I'll go find some crappie, and there's some walleye in my local lake right down the road. They're rare, they're few and far between, but when I catch one, they come home with me. So trying to decide between the 3 and 4 power Dobbins casting. I mainly fish ponds in Florida, mainly throw T-rigs, 1/8 and 1/4 ounce paddle tails on a 1/4 ounce jig head, and rattle traps and chatterbaits. If it's in Florida and you're fishing a lot of grass and you're using braided line, I hope you can go with a 4 power and you'll be able to cast those light baits. It'll be a little bit more difficult. Those 1/8 ounce and 1/4 ounce, as long as the paddle tail is kind of a heavy worm, which typically most of them are, or a heavy plastic, you can throw it on that. A 3 power will work. It will cast a lot better, but you won't have the power that you need to be able to. Well, you might. A 3 power is a medium heavy, so you might. Gosh, that's hard, man. For those weights, I would go with a 3 power, really, and then just use braided line, and you should be good. I wish I knew what your lake looked like. Hello, first time on the live show. Been doing the garden thing today as well. We are on lockdown here in Texas starting tonight. Yeah, dude, we started lockdown not too long ago, but the game wardens let me fish down the road. They've got the public fishing area down there open, so we just can't get too close to each other, which is understandable. But yeah, the garden thing's been great. I've got to wait for my soil to dry a little bit more before I can start tilling it. Or it's just going to be a waste of time. But I'm definitely getting everything ready. I've got to get 40 yards of mulch to till into my soil because I got so much clay in my soil. Best way to locate bass beds with your eyes: get some good sunglasses. I don't have mine with me, but get some good polarized sunglasses and just go around looking for those clear patches that a bass swims off of, and then turn around and come back and fish for him. So besides red in the spring, what main colors are you throwing right now? Green pumpkin and white. And if I want to just cover a lot of water, once they move up and start spawning hard, which they haven't quite done that here, I'll throw like a really bright trick worm, weightless, and jerk it around the shallows and try to get those males to show themselves because the water's a little dingy. I can't really see that good. I can see the beds when they're super shallow, but when they're a little bit deeper, I can't. And getting something that's erratic going by them will get the males to flash and show themselves, and then you can stop and fish that area until you catch one. So yes, heroes wear a lab coat these days. That is true. Anna Castro, I said your name. Literally caught my PB about an hour ago. Really? That's freaking sick, dude. That's awesome. That's awesome. I appreciate it. Hank Carrot Cherry won the 2020 Bassmasters Classic with a jerkbait and a chatterbait. So pretty cool. Let's see. Scott Hatch, man, thanks for the thanks for the $5. I'll read your comment here in just a minute because I know I'm way behind. Oh goodness, here's one I'm dealing with right now. Polebender says, is there anything that you do to keep from getting tendonitis in your wrist or elbows? Can't even set the hook right now. Me either. My right one right here, this whole section of my elbow. I set the hook with a spinning rod the other day while I was filming that video, and literally I'd lost the rod. It went all straight down to the deck of the boat. and I had no grip, so I had to switch the handle over and switch and throw and cast the spinning rod. Let and reel with my right hand, cast it left hand and reel with my right hand, which was really, really weird. Or I had to switch hands. I can't remember. But anyway, the best thing to do for me is I've got an exercise thing. Look online. There's a little thing, and you'll know what I'm talking about. It's a blue thing, goes over your hand, and it's got these little elastic bands that you can exercise your fingers, and it increases the oxygen flow and gets blood flowing in that area, and it helps it to heal. Mine aren't going to heal for a while because I have to fish every day, but it's just something I'm going to have to deal with. But if you just let it rest, it'll heal in just a couple, 2 or 3 weeks, and you'll be just fine, man. So I had it in my left arm a few years ago and I haven't had it since. Hey man, you ever fish Sharon Harris Reservoir? Sorry, my feet are propped up on my desk. That's why I keep shaking whenever I move my feet. Near Apex, North Carolina. You'd love it. It produces some big bass and it's a fun lake. If you're ever around North Carolina, I'd really like to. I've heard a lot about it, but no, I've never fished it. So, what's up, Chris Tidwell? All right, I'm gonna skip ahead. I'm sorry if I missed your comments, but I know I'm way behind. Scott, thanks for the $5, by the way. Says thank you, all essential workers. Thank you, Fluke. Gives me something to get my mind off when I get home from the cable business. Yeah, dude, it's amazing though. I'm gonna take a little bit of break talking about fishing. It's amazing what people are doing right now. Companies have totally turned around and they're making N95 masks. They're making visors. They're making face shields. They're making my brother who make his. I always make fun of him. My little brother's. I call him the seamstress. They made these little birthday cone hats and these matching bibs and sold them on Etsy for years. So they've got a sewing business, and they had hundreds of yards of material. And so now they're making masks for medical workers as fast as they can and sending them out. They have the elastic strap. They have hundreds of yards of elastic strap that's really hard to find right now. So my brother's making stuff. It's just amazing what's going on right now. I got a buddy who's invented a robotic ventilator, and he's almost finished with it. He talked to the vice president of the United States the other day about it. It's just some cool stuff going on. And people are stepping up and really helping each other. I could give a crap about the political side of it. It drives me nuts. I mean, it just shows how idiotic people are during this type of age. Just don't be political. Just look at it the way it is and deal with what you can deal with, and stop trying to second guess everything. Just do it. But anyway, I'm going to get off my soapbox. Fluke, do you have any ideas, any advice for catching bass in a flooded lake with 63-degree water temp and stained water? What would your approach be? All right, so I'm going to give you a couple of secrets, and one that I've been trying to work into a video for a long time, and I haven't been able to. And it's when you leave the lake, if you're going to come back to the lake the next day, or you know, and for right now we're fishing just about every day. Put a stick in the ground right where the water comes up. So if the water comes up right at the water level, put a stick in the ground. And this is when there's flooding going on, or when you got a high water level. And then when you come back the next day, look at that stick. And if the water's moved away from that stick, the water's falling, and you're going to want to fish a little bit further off. You're going to fish outside cover and that kind of stuff. If the water's come up that stick, the water's rising, and those bass are going to have their nose on the bank, and you want to fish all the shallow cover. That's one of the biggest things. 63-degree water, they're going to be getting ready to spawn. They're going to be looking for bushes and things like that with deep water somewhere close by to be able to escape during bad weather, or when they're bumped or pushed, that kind of stuff. But that would be my approach. But the biggest thing is to pay attention to what the water's doing, whether it's rising or falling. So, is the water temp in the upper 60s and low 70s when the topwater bites should fire up early morning, afternoon? Yeah. And when they'll hit topwater when they're spawning too. So stay shallow, parallel the banks, and throw topwater, and they'll hit topwater, especially just as a protective bite. And they're not trying to eat it; they're just trying to get it away from their beds. So, and then as the post spawn happens, as more and more fish spawn out and move move along the bank, you'll find more and more topwater. So, Bass and Furious. Thanks, man. Appreciate the $2, man. You're awesome. It says, thanks for hard work. Hope you feel better soon. I feel fine. Do you like Okuma's TCS rods? I've had a few of them. You'd have to ask Tackle Junkie 81. He uses them like crazy, but they're really good rods. One thing I didn't like was their cranking rods had the hook keeper below the handle. So every time you reach down and grab the rod, you got a handful of treble hooks. And so that's the only thing that was my only gripe about them. They had a really good jerkbait rod back then. So, oh, Michael. Okay. Appreciate it, man. I'll get with you over on Facebook about that one. Hey, Fluke John from Northern Ontario, Canada. Just wanted to thank you for the super informative videos. It's really increased the quality and knowledge of my bass fishing game. Stay safe. That's my goal, brother. I appreciate it, man. I really do. And thanks for watching my stuff. Sorry, guys. I got to adjust my camera a little bit. Thanks for watching my stuff. I really appreciate it. Wesley Sims, I just joined. Does anyone happen to know if the Hollis, Latham, or Hickory log reservoirs in Georgia are open? I don't know, man. I know Rocky Mountain's open, Rocky Mountain PFA, and I know the DNR's not closing them. They may close the bathrooms and stuff like that, which I totally agree with, but I don't think they're going to close the boat ramps. So at least not right now. So let's see. Glad to see you and the family are well. Been watching since you made videos with Bass Resource. Keep up the good work. Thanks, Christopher. I appreciate it, man. 211 people on. How awesome is that? J Dubs, thanks for the $10. You are the GOAT. Appreciate it, man. Gonna be trying that janky rig this weekend. Water temp is mid-70s here in central Louisiana. I haven't been able to get them to bite anything. I tell you, that one big one that I caught at the end of the video, I flipped it right next to a stump and it just kind of fell down, and I shook it a little bit and that bass hit it. I think it was on the bed. I think that was a big male that had moved up and started making a bed. So good question. Coach Jackson says, can you talk about detecting a jig bite? I'm trying to learn the technique but struggle with soft and grassy bottoms. Northeast highs 40 at the moment. Coach Jackson, the first thing that I would tell you to do is go find hard bottoms when you're dragging a jig. Soft bottoms, what happens is that jig literally digs itself into that soft, silty bottom, and the bass don't even see it. They see something down there moving around. They might bite it, but 9 times out of 10, if it's buried in that silt, they're not going to bite it. Grass, you want to use a jig that's got a pointed head that comes to the grass easier, and you want the line tie to be straight up and down and not side to side. That's called a grass jig, by the way, but you want to swim that through the grass. But you're looking for hard points. Typically, points have hard tops and hard sides because they haven't silted away or haven't eroded away yet. Rocky bottoms and that kind of stuff that you're going to drag your jig through. The bite, you'll know it. This time of the year, very seldom do they just pick it up and you don't feel it. Very seldom. A lot of times they pick it up and they move it to the back of their mouth as quick as they can, and they crush it with those crushers in the back, and you feel that bite. That's why I get so giddy when I'm on a jig bite. When I'm on a really good jig bite, I get like a child, man. I am laughing. I'm happy, and the bites are just massive. They don't jerk the rod out of your hand, but you feel them thunk, and they'll take it. Just watch your line. If they end up biting soft like they do in the summertime, you'll see your line all of a sudden go slack, and then you got a bite. To be honest with you, that doesn't happen very often. I know guys talk about that all the time because it does happen, but most of the time it's a big thump because they suck that thing in, get it to the back of their mouth, and they crush it, and you feel it. So, is braid okay to throw crankbaits in topwater? It is, William. The thing that I don't like about it, especially with like a spook, is that spook will turn around, and because that braid is so limber, it will get around and get wrapped around that front treble hook a lot. And what I typically do is I'll throw braid and then throw a little 18-inch leader on the end of it, just to keep that from happening. So something like, you can even throw fluorocarbon if you want, because it's not enough to really pull the bait down. but 15, 17 pound test, something on the end of your braid. Let's see. I got to catch my breath. Hold on a second. All right. What's your advice for locating bass on huge lakes such as Lake Martin in Alabama? This time of the year, while they're getting up, especially Lake Martin, they're getting ready to spawn. They're moving up shallow. I'm going to pull into pockets and I'm going to look for bass on the bank because they're going to be spawning. When the bass is spawning, they're not paying attention to bait. They're not really following the bait fish. They're eating whatever comes in front of them as they're moving back to spawn. They're eating crawfish. They're eating bluegill. They're eating anything that they possibly can. But their goal is to get to the back of the pockets and get to the backs of the creeks and get into that protected water where they can go and spawn. So, my advice right now is to move into those pockets and look for bass on the bank. And if they're spawning or if they've moved up to look for beds, they're just gonna come around and turn around and come back to that bed, and you can come back and fish for them later. If you're running along the bank and all you see is males swim off of the little bare patches on the bank, all you see is these little males swimming off. Those females aren't far away. What I typically will do, especially if it's a narrow pocket, but I'm going to back out and fish the center of that pocket all the way to as far back as I can get and as shallow as I can get. And I'm going to fish it very aggressively with a chatterbait and with a lipless crankbait. And those big females are just in that deeper water, cruising back and forth, waiting for the water and the light and everything else to get right to move up to spawn. So if the males are up making beds, the females are not far away. So I got 2 donations I got to talk about. Ed Wolf, thanks for the $5, man. I appreciate it. Just got back from a local lake. Haven't seen that many people fishing in years. Everyone hit the thumbs up. Thanks, man. Yeah, everybody hit the thumbs up, hit the like button. But yeah, dude, every day I go out to my lake, the parking lot is full, and it is so much fun to see that many people fishing. The fishing's a little tough. We're catching 1 or 2 fish a day, and it's getting beat up pretty bad, but it's so awesome to see that many people out fishing. So Wicked Fishing says, thanks for the $10, by the way. Says, canceled my date tonight because she didn't like fishing. Drinks on me. Oh, I had a fiance once that told me I could never hang my deer heads in the house. I didn't marry her. Oh, goodness. Let's see. AM Fishing says, hey, Fluke, you're the best at teaching. Everything you say works for me. Not everything, man. I'm not that great. But thanks for blowing smoke up my butt. Do you have any advice for me as I'm going to compete in my first local tournament next month? Deep lake, super clear, and underwater weed. Get plenty of time out there before. Do a little bit of pre-fishing. Get your confidence up about what you're doing. It's a clear lake. Treat it like a clear lake. Light line, fluorocarbon. And the fish are going to be, or like I said, right now, fish are all moving up. They're getting ready to spawn. Work your way back and go watch as many videos as you can about the lake you're fishing. And that's what I do, man. When I'm pre-fishing, I'm looking at videos, I'm looking at maps, I'm trying to figure stuff out and really spend a lot of time learning everything you can about that lake. I want to know enough about a lake, even if I've never been to it before, that I feel like a local. If I feel like I know that lake well enough to be able to go find fish anywhere. So, and that just takes experience. The biggest thing is don't lose your confidence since it's your first tournament, and have fun with it. Don't let stress get to you, dude. You're learning. So don't, I remember my first tournament, man, we caught 2 fish and it sucked. But I learned from it. So Matt Birch, what's going on, my friend? He must be helping answer questions. I appreciate you, man. Matt Birch is a great kayaker. Also a good friend of mine. He's helped me out a lot. Let's see. Jamie Bird says, getting my 200 horsepower Evinrude HO this weekend. Your review of it helped me finish making my decision. That's awesome, man. I appreciate it. My sponsors will like that too. But, man, it's a great motor. It really is. My 115's got some guts. Of course, I can't use the guts right now because the lake I'm fishing right down the road is an idle speed only lake. But after this mess is over, I'll start traveling to bigger lakes again. So, Love your videos, Fluke. What is good? A good lure for fishing around heavy standing timber? No, it's not coronavirus. Every time I cough, I'm gonna say that. Heavy standing timber. You know, I used to fish a lake called Fox Lake on another public fishing area that I grew up next to, and it had nothing but timber in it. And what I typically like to do is I look at the bottom and I find a point in that timber. I ignore the wood altogether and I find a point. And what I like to fish around it is just something with plastics. A Texas rig is by far the best thing to fish around timber. I can swim the plastic if it's something that's got a kicking tail or little appendages that kick. I can pitch it down next to it. Anything, any soft plastic on a Texas rig will work really good around standing timber. So, let's see. Would you recommend that same setup, braid with a leader for topwater poppers from the kayak? I spooled up a new rod for pop. Yes, I would. I spooled up a new rod for poppers with mono, but I'm second guessing it. The reason I like a braided main line is because you can cast it a mile, and especially with poppers and that kind of stuff, you really want to work the water well. And I'll line up parallel to the bank, and I'll be real shallow with my kayak, and I'll chunk it way out parallel on the bank, 2-3 foot off of it, and I'm just going to pop it through. It's really going to shine next month or whenever your shad start to spawn. But that's what I do. Get that kayak real close to the bank and just parallel that bank with the popper. And if the shad are spawning, the bass are going to be there, especially early in the morning. So, I just read that when you're in Sturgeon Bay. You got a little while, and you don't have shad. You have alewife. But yeah, dude, that should work just fine. Your braid would. Don't second guess it. Try it with the mono, but the braid would just make it where you can cast it a whole lot further. Spencer Joyner says, I have a small pond near my house that I have fished for years, and I know there should be a big bass in there, but all I ever catch are small ones and 2-pounders. I'll give you 2 options. Throw bigger baits, big swim baits. I would throw an 8-inch bull shad, but they're expensive. They're like $60. But I would throw a big bait. The little fish can't hit it, but the big fish can. The other thing that I would do is if it's a small pond and you own it or you know the owner, if you know the owner, ask him this. Start taking some of those small ones out. Had a biologist once to sit that, and I don't like to do this because of what he said, but he said just throw them on the bank. That's not me. I take them home and eat them, but take a lot of those small ones out, and you'll see more and more big ones. And it'll become a healthier lake. They're eating all the food is the problem. There's not that many big ones. And I can tell you what's going on that lake. You've got big bluegill, especially in the summertime. You'll see big bluegill, but no little ones because they've all been eaten up by the bass. You'll see 12 and 14-inch bass, and then there'll be a few big ones that are big enough to eat those bass. And that's all they're able to eat because there's nothing else for them to eat. So, how do you keep fluorocarbon from coiling so bad? I don't buy the cheap stuff. And that's totally 100% true. I'm not trying to sales pitch the expensive stuff. I don't get the cheap stuff because the cheap stuff coils like crazy. You'll find that even the expensive stuff, if it's on a reel for, a couple, 2 or 3 days and you haven't used or anything else, it'll have some coils in it when you first start. But, 20 minutes into fishing it, 10 minutes into fishing it, it'll start to straighten back up. But that cheap stuff will stay coiled. So, thanks for teaching me how to bass fish. I'm new at it. Thanks, Ronnie. I appreciate it, man. Stay with it, brother. It's a lot of fun. Johnny Payne, thanks for the $4 super sticker. Let's see. Let me look at some comments. Really enjoyed the competition videos you made with your boys, i.e. throwing darts for baits, lures. If y'all come up with another game, please post them. That'd be awesome, man. We're going to probably do some bank fishing videos here real soon. The thing is, because I have sponsors to keep happy and that kind of stuff, I've got to get in my boat and fish out of my boat for a little bit. But this next month, being that it's sponsored by Georgia 811, you're going to see me in my kayak. You're going to see me in my boat. I'm going to do some bank fishing and that kind of stuff. So it's pretty cool. I like the idea of being sponsored by a nonprofit, somebody that's not really in the fishing industry. I think that's a great idea. That way I can just do me. So Do you ever fly fish? I grew up fly fishing. I learned how to tie flies when I was about 4 years old. And I started tying them, I think my first top fly I ever tied was a renegade. But now I've tied a whole bunch of flies in my life, but it's been a while. My stuff's old and worn out, and it's expensive to replace, so I just haven't gotten back into it. Do you have a preference for which blade combination on spinner baits during pre-spawn? I almost always throw a Colorado blade, a dual Colorado blade spinner bait. Not just in pre-spawn, but most of the year, unless I'm fishing super clear water for spotted bass or just super clear water and the bait are real small. I'll go to some willow leaf blades, but I love Colorado blades. Lets me do a whole lot more and fish a whole lot slower. So, Ed Wolf, good comment, says the fishing was definitely tough, but it was awesome seeing all these dads teaching their kids to fish for the first time. That's so awesome. Yeah. I watched that a bunch this week. That was really, really cool. So I was picking on Jordan a lot this week. I think I got on his nerves. So Leadhead Fishing, thanks for the $5, man. That's awesome. You're the GOAT. He says, hi, Gene, longtime viewer, just moved from Arizona to Florida, Okeechobee. Oh, that's good area. Has given me the hardest time. Any general points on right direction? Okeechobee's fishing hard right now. Gosh, get some of the smaller lakes in that area. There's some lakes just north of Okeechobee that are really good. Kenansville is where I was, which is not far from you. Kenansville was where I was catching those giants in that kayak a couple of months ago. But yeah, dude, I would definitely try some of the small lakes. Okeechobee is just a hard thing to figure out. What I did when I first got down there, when I first got to Okeechobee, is I hired a guide to take me out for a day just to run me around and help me figure the lake out and look at the lake, that kind of stuff. But gosh, I haven't been there in so long, and it's different every single year, so I wouldn't be able to help you on the Big O. How do you decide why? Sorry, RJ, you're gonna have to try that one again. Let's see. When this mess is over, will you be fishing up north? Right now, I don't have any plans to. I'm just going to see how this plays out. All of my travel plans have gotten canceled. They were all like right during these next few weeks. The KBF National Championship was supposed to be next week, and I was going to fish it and win like $75,000. But it's everything's up in the air right now, so I really don't know. If you guys, this is a good. Speaking of KBF, this is a really, really good time to, if you guys are kayak fishermen, and you're able to get out on the lake and that stuff, join some of these monthly challenges. We're right here at the end of the month. Join the challenge, the KBF challenge tournaments that go on. It's a full month. It's your best 5 fish for the entire month. You've got tons of days to fish it coming up. Might as well just join one of those tournaments. So the way you do it, you go join KBF, and then you go to Tourney X and you join the tournaments. The tournaments are $35 a piece, and it's for the whole month. And it's just like a pot tournament. So definitely a good thing to do. That's what I did. I've already joined the next month's tournament in Georgia. So come fish against me. That'd be a lot of fun. Hey, Fluke Master, do you still deep crank with copolymer, or did you ever switch over to straight fluoro? I'm straight fluoro now. I figured out I can get it about a foot and a half deeper if I use fluorocarbon, and that's why. So. Whoo, what's the best braided line? It's hard to say, man. There's so many different braids out there. The one I use all the time, and I've been using for about 3.5 years now, is Seagar Smackdown. It hasn't failed me yet. I love it. Absolutely love it. So, favorite swim jig trailer? A Rage Menace. I got a video I made last year about swim jigs, and I cut one of the tails off the Rage Menace. So you'll have to go watch that video though, so you can see how I do it. Let's see, Charlie. Sorry, I didn't mean to call you Carly. That's my niece's name, and I just saw it and said Carly. Charlie leads. Me and my dad fish by ourselves for fun, and we can catch decent fish for Idaho, but can't seem to catch many 4 to 5 pounders. How should we adjust our approach to catch pounds, not numbers? Bigger baits. That's what I do. I fished one of those challenge tournaments last year here in my local lake. I had big fish on my stringer, and in order to upgrade, I had to throw a big bait. and I switched to the biggest bait I had, which was a 9-inch bull shad, and I threw it around every day for the last week of the month. Every day I was out there, and I caught 4 more fish and got 2 upgrades, which was awesome. And you're not going to catch a lot of fish, but you're going to catch big ones. I like your avatar, by the way. Let's see. Let's see. During pre-spawn, when do you switch from fishing rocky banks and etc. to looking for stumps and wood for them to spawn on? I usually start right at 59, 60 degrees is when I start to look. And I'll look for a little while and then go back and fish rocky points and banks. And then I'll go look some more as it warms up. And I'm just keep going back in these pockets and looking for bass spawning. It's not an automatic switch. You just kind of look for it. You know, like I'll give you, for instance, this week out at our local lake, and all you guys that fish Rocky Mountain, I'm talking about Rocky Mountain, they started to spawn on Monday. There was only 5 beds on the entire lake on Monday. I went around that whole stinking lake in my trolling motor and looked, and there were only 5 beds on Monday. By Thursday, there were beds on every bank, but not all of them had bass on them. And what I'm saying is, we haven't had a full moon yet. And sometimes I believe in this full moon and sometimes I don't, but we really need to have some light at night for them to move up and spawn a little bit harder. And so I expect next week it's really going to start to turn on quite a bit, or at least the next full moon. So, but they just started moving up, and there were some good ones, good solid ones. Man, I appreciate all the nice comments of everybody saying that I love my channel. I really do. You guys are awesome. Killing it. And what are your thoughts on the BFLs? I have fished 1 BFL in my life, and I really enjoyed the idea of fishing it. I just drew a really bad partner. He was so bad, I still remember his name. And I probably wouldn't give him the time of the day if I ever ran into him again. But he was just a jackass is all he was. Little did he know. But anyway, so but the BFLs are a great opportunity to get out and go fishing and learn from guys that are, you know, if you're going to be a co-angler, learn from the guys in the front of the boat. You know, Ryan, the buddy that passed away last year of mine, he was the youngest person and still the youngest person ever to win co-angler of the year for the BFL. And he loved them. I mean, he would fish a BFL and turn around and go straight to a junior Bassmaster tournament. I mean, he was repping them, and he was it his next to last tournament or third from last tournament, he caught a 10-pound 4-ounce bass, which is the largest bass weight in the BFLs at the time. So yeah, dude, they're a lot of fun. He loved them. Andrew Goldston, we still have ice up here in Wisconsin. I'm so sorry, really am. I was wondering how soon after ice out would you start fishing for bass, and what would you go to? What would your go-to super cold water lure be? I have a buddy who used to live in Rhode Island, and I'm going off of his experience. Ice out, literally as soon as you can get a lure in the water, those bass are going to be feeding. They're going to be turned on. It has started pre-spawn. And he used to catch them on big swim baits, but I'm not promoting big swim baits. You can catch them on jerk baits and jigs and things like that. But don't be afraid to throw something a little bit faster than you normally would to start with. And if that doesn't work, then go to like a drag and a jig and really fishing a jerk bait slow around key pieces of structure like points and drops and that kind of stuff. Thought I heard my lawnmower cranking up, but I think it was a motorcycle that just went by the house. Sorry. Lee Taylor, man, thanks for the $10, brother. I really appreciate it. You guys that are donating on Super Chat, I really do appreciate it. You guys are, I mean, it means a lot to me that you guys would be willing to open up your wallets and your pocketbooks and donate. That's unreal. I love it. We just launched Stinky Balls, the first water-activated application to add scent by putting one or two on your hooks. Would you give some a try? You'd have to contact me somewhere else on my PMs or DMs and other places, and then we talk business. I don't just give something to try that I don't believe in. It's one of those things where it takes me a couple of months to decide whether or not we're gonna talk sponsorships. So, but definitely, I'd be more glad to try it. But I don't come on here and just blast out stuff I don't believe in or have never tried before. So yeah, we definitely have to talk about it. Caught 25 fish at my neighbor's pond. Can't seem to find the big ones yet. All 2-3 pounders and a couple smaller fish. Is it because of the pre-spawn or what? Yes, it is. They've got that feed up, and it's a 2 or 3 pounder. So they're going to be the males that are moving up. They're getting ready to feed. They're really aggressive. The females are going to be a little bit deeper, or they're going to be moving out, especially if it's a pond. They're going to be a little bit deeper on that deeper cover, maybe a log or a stump that's out there. So definitely going to try it. Gunnersville's been pretty hot. Yep, but I'm going to stay close to town during all this mess. So I got all 4 kids at home and my wife working 12 hours a day right now. So what do you think Gunnersville will be like in October for the KBFNC? I spent all winter researching spring Gunnersville. Yeah, that kind of sucked that they canceled it. I know they had to, and I'm not saying that, but yeah, I was so ready for spring. October, the frog bite's going to be on. The grass bite's going to be on. I really don't know. I'm going to have to start doing my research. I've done really well there in October. I did really well in a Spro Frog tournament in October a couple of years ago. So there's some spots I really want to check that I know will be absolutely full of bass, but it's a 3-day tournament that the national championship is. So we're really going to have to fight. The person that wins it's really going to have to figure out a lot about that lake. So Moose says, I watched your video on topwater poppers. I tied one on and went fishing on the first cast. A 6-pounder slammed it. It's my new PB and first topwater fish. Great job teaching me and the world to fish. That's awesome, dude. I know you're hooked now. Don't get used to it. That doesn't happen like that all the time, but holy cow, that's awesome. Woo, man. KCT Bass Fishing, thanks for getting me started in YouTube fishing channel. You inspired me now to just catch fish, put my name and channel out there. That's true, man. Just grind. That's all you got to do, brother. Just don't quit. Biggest thing, anybody wanting to start a channel, you need to start right now, and you just got to keep doing it and don't quit and just adjust and change and try different things. I'm still trying different things, and you guys let me know when you don't like them, and you let me know when you like them. So I'm always trying new stuff. Don't leave me because you don't like them, but let me know. When you come to Louisiana again, fished Point of Shanes today and caught 14 trout and 2 reds. Jamie, you suck. I hate you. I really do. You're not my friend anymore. I miss Point of Shanes so bad. I wanted to go this year, but I just wasn't able to. It won't be long though, dude. I've got the itch, and I absolutely love it down there. I really want to go fish for some reds. So cloudy, 64-degree water right now. Top water, yes, you can throw top water, definitely. Just keep it shallow. They're going to be up shallow and getting ready to spawn, and they'll be pretty aggressive. So not fishing related, but would you recommend someone to move to Georgia? I always recommend it. We got good government. We've got good, for the most part. I mean, politicians are crooked no matter which way you look at them, but we got great places to eat. The people are great. The fishing's great. Depends on where you're coming from. If you're coming from like California and stuff, come on. We got jobs here. People are hiring. So I love it. I love living in Georgia. That's why I've always lived here. What's the best time to throw a frog? When the bass are shallow and active. Definitely. All right, we're going to give this just a couple more minutes. You guys be sure, if you have not subscribed to my channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell. One thing I figured out the other day is a lot of people think that you've got to start a YouTube channel in order to be able to subscribe to somebody else's YouTube channel. You just got to have a profile. That's it. Just start a profile, hit the subscribe button on my videos, and hit the bell so you get notifications, and make sure the notifications are turned on your phone. I thought that was weird, but I guess it's just I've always been doing YouTube. So back when I started YouTube and I first got accepted to the partner program, I had to fill out a job application. It wasn't you had to have this number of views or anything else. They came and reviewed your channel personally and had a personal conversation with you. That's how long I've been doing YouTube. Corey says, what's the best way for a new angler to know what a bite versus a rock tree, etc., when finesse fishing? Perfect question, dude. Go shallow and look at the things you're throwing to, and throw your rod out, or cast your lure out. Don't throw your rod. Please keep it in your hand. Throw your lure out, drag it along that shallow water until you get to that rock. Then close your eyes and start to shake and feel what that rock feels like. And if you see a log, do the same thing. If you see grass, do the same thing, and try to remember what all of that feels like. And then if anything feels different, it's probably a bite, especially if it's like, oh, I didn't make that lure do that. You know, me moving my rod didn't make that lure do that. And it's a bite. That's the biggest thing. And don't be afraid just to lift your rod and pull your line tight when you think you got a bite, and see if it moves on its own, and then set the hook. Ronald Fisher, why in the world are these people giving? I don't know why they're giving me money, but what do they get in return? The biggest thing is you get to watch my videos for free. I've been making videos for a long time and not charging a soul. So if anybody wants to donate out of the goodness of their heart, I am more than happy to say thank you. So yeah, that's definitely. Have you considered doing a video on proper boat positioning, etc.? Great channel. Thanks. Appreciate it, Keith. I have. I'm not the best at boat positioning. And it's one of those things where I don't feel like I'll ever be good enough at it to make a video. I might get somebody else to do it for me. You know, I'm good friends with some of the top pros, and so I might snag one of them and say, hey, can you come do a boat positioning video for me, or at least help me get an outline together so I can do one? That may be something I do. So, but Ed, man, thanks for the $10, man. I appreciate it. It says, keep losing fish since I started. I keep losing fish since I started kayak fishing that I wouldn't have lost from the bank because I lose tension on them. Sometimes my fault for sure, but should I move up in reel speed? You can move up on reel speed. The biggest thing I say is set the hook like you're dang trying to hit a home run, like you're trying to rip their lips off, because you lose a lot of that momentum in your hook set because your kayak goes towards the fish when you set that hook. You see what I'm saying? So what you do is just, you see my hook sets in my videos when I'm in the kayak, I hammer them because I know I'm going to lose some of that hook set. And that's the biggest thing. And then if you're using like a 5-3-1, yes, go to 7 to 8, 8-1-1 or whatever, get a higher speed reel. But the biggest thing is usually you're just not getting a good enough hook set out, So, let's see. Any favorite anglers growing up? Not really, Brian. My dad, my dad used to guide on the Snake River back in the 50s, or used to run the Snake River back in the 50s. And he taught me how to fly fish. We were always trout fishing together. I didn't really get into the professional angler world until I was married and 27 years old. So I guess we'd say Bill Dance, because Bill Dance taught me how to tie the improved clinch knot. And I got a video of him a long time ago just to learn the basics of fishing. And that has a lot to do with what I'm doing right now. Is I realized that back in the day that nobody was teaching anybody how to fish anymore. Back when I started YouTube, and literally nobody was doing instructional videos when I started my YouTube channel. And then there was me and Nick, the Informative Fisherman, and I think that was it. Lake Fork guy started a little bit later than that, but not much later. So, but I really appreciate you guys. I'm going to jump off of here. I'm losing my voice. I want to go up and say hi to my kids. And my wife just got home from work after a 12-hour shift. Thanks for jumping on here. Be sure to check out flutemaster.com for all of my merch. Stay tuned for next month. We're going to have a lot of giveaways and that kind of stuff. And you're going to have the opportunity to win a trip with me next month through this Georgia 811 sponsorship for next month. So pay attention, guys. But like I always say, be sure to introduce somebody to fishing. Introduce them to my channel, and let me help you teach them how to fish. More importantly, get out on the water, go ahead and catch some fish, and have a great day. We'll see you.